Are you ready to learn how I started my virtual assistant agency, which will basically it'll be a little bit of business 101 for you guys? Now, one of the things that I love talking about is how to build your business, how to start your business, and how to actually get it fully remote. Now, in the last 4 years, since 2019, I've had my business 2XU, and it's honestly been one of the longest businesses that I've had. I've started like a book subscription business before. I've started like bookmarks. I've had so many other businesses in the past. 2XU so far has been the one that I've had the longest. And this is a question that I get a lot of how I actually started my agency. And I've talked about it in different ways in different videos, but I wanted to break it down for you guys of like step by step of how you can do it as well. Now, the first thing that I did was I got a client. I didn't even have any structures. I don't think I even had a email account for 2XU just yet when I first got our client. Now, I got our client through networking. I was speaking at an event and he came up to us and like, hey, I like what you're talking about virtual assistants. Can I just hire one from you guys? Now, that is a caveat, is that we were already selling a course on how to hire a virtual assistant to people, which is before I even started the agency. But that was kind of me telling and talking about my expertise, about what I've done before for other people and what they could do for themselves. So when we first got that client of like, hey, can you guys just do this for me? It was kind of just a shift for me to think about like, okay, what would that system look like? What would everything else look like? So then that brought me to my next step of just outlining that delivery. So of course, the basics of it was we were going to deliver on recruitment, we're going to deliver on training that EA, and then managing them ongoing. So that was kind of me outlining it, because I've seen this happen so many times where a lot of people start their business and they don't even have someone who's willing to pay for it first. So this is why I really recommend that you first get that first dollar basically of someone saying yes to your business or your service already, even before you start building a lot of the things in the back end for yourself. Now, outlining your delivery doesn't have to be too complicated. You can look at what other people are currently doing, and then you can keep in mind that later on you're going to add your own way of delivering it for them. So for me, I just stuck with the basics basically of that recruitment, training, and management for the EA, and I was figuring a lot of things out as I went. Then we got a few more clients into 2XU, mostly by referral, which is actually freaking cool. And then I started the process of hiring my own assistant. So at that point, I did have an assistant for a previous business that I was doing, but she was more of a local assistant that I just needed for like running around or doing different things. And I needed a virtual assistant to help me with a lot of the building admin things that I was now doing, as we were getting 2 or 3 clients almost every month. When it came to this, I had to outline what were the things that were taking me the longest, what are the things that could be either automated and systematized, and what are the things that I could just easily delegate to the assistant. Now, at that time, I was just building up this YouTube channel as well. You guys can go back to 2020 or 2019, and you can see that the first couple of videos I was editing, the first couple of content that I was putting out, I was creating myself. So that was the first thing that I delegated to that assistant of mine, was I needed a way to continuously create the content as well, because that was starting to get us clients, and I needed to just continue that, of course. So then those were the first things. Then she was taking care of some of the admin work of coordinating basically as I was growing also other people inside of 2XU, which freed me up to building more and more of that backend systems that I was building up first as I'm delivering to more and more clients. Now, the next step was to build your marketing funnel, or my marketing funnel. So what it basically easily looked like is we were creating YouTube videos on, and we had that course still on how to hire a virtual assistant. We still got students from that. So they were referring people. If they weren't clients themselves, they were referring other people from that. We created like a whole referral system. So we had different ways where we can create awareness basically on what the business was and what it does basically and what it does. So then it was easy for people to like, oh yeah, this is the person for me. This is right for me. So we were creating a lot of this collateral that until this day, we're still everywhere on social media to kind of get people in and getting to know like, oh yeah, I might need an assistant. So a lot of the content that we've been creating the last couple of years has been to that, of like getting people to the point of like being knowledgeable of how assistants work and working with us to be able to get that assistant for them. So for you, what could that look like for your marketing funnel? Now, depending on the kind of business that you're doing, the competitors that you have, what they might already be doing, it's making sure that there's a way that you can differentiate yourself and make yourself just stand out as well. So for us at 2XU, the biggest thing for us is we have something called the 2XU Business Operating Systems. Now, what it is we create the SOPs or the set operating procedures for our clients as well. And at the same time, we help them build the assets in their business, things like their brand kit, their marketing funnel, their sales funnel. So it's not just an executive assistant that they're getting this whole line of systems that I didn't have when I started my business. This is why it's important to get your first client first. So if someone is interested in what it is that you do, you build then that outline of what the services are, and you will keep finding different things that you can specialize in that will differentiate yourself from the market. Next of that is once you have some sort of way that you can market yourself, next is of course building your sales funnel. So your sales funnel is now that you've gotten their attention, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to hop on a call with them right away? Are they going to go through a scorecard? We have a scorecard in 2XU. Go to 2XU.com/scorecard basically, and that prepares people to think like, hey, I need an assistant now, or I think I need an assistant 6 months later, or actually no need for an assistant. I'm still starting out my business. So depending on where our potential clients are at, we're able to actually just consult with them even as early as the scorecard if they do need an assistant or not yet. Then I hop on a sales call with them. Until this day, I'm still doing the calls, mostly because I love them, because like I started 2XU with the curiosity of how other people do their businesses. And at the same time, like it's one of the ways that I can see if that client could be a fit for 2XU or not. Because there's been clients that I have now had the privilege basically of being able to say no to if they're not a match for a few things. And also if they actually again need that assistant in the first place. They might have just actually need a tool or an automation. They don't need a whole assistant to be able to do it. And then of course we onboard them, we get them ready with an assistant, we recruit, all so on and so forth. But the gist of a sales funnel is now that you've gotten someone's attention, what are you doing to be able to get them to become your client? Next is hopefully at this point you would have some momentum. I had some momentum at this point. So basically at this point you're going to create your tool belt. So what your tool belt is what are the ways that you're going to, one, track tasks and projects in your business, two, track the time that your employees are working. So for us, we use Hubstaff. We use Notion basically for the projects and tasks. We did start with ClickUp first, and then we shifted everything into Notion now. Everything instead of 2XU, instead of Notion. And of course, we use Google Docs. We use the Google Workspace for our email, all of that good stuff. So we have the tool belt right now to be able to work remotely and have people also succeed in what it is that they're doing. Other things on your tool belt could be things like your CRM. So for us, we use Keep. For your email marketing, so we use ConvertKit. And these were things that we didn't have right off the bat. We were kind of experimenting, and I always think of it as like Lego blocks of like, okay, now we have this established. Okay, what's the next thing we need to establish to do this? So it was definitely a step-by-step process that got us to the point where we now have a full tool belt for 2XU. But it started with, okay, what workspace are we using? Are we using Microsoft? Or are we using Google? Okay, Google, let's go with that. And then let's build everything there. And then like, oh, we need a task manager. ClickUp is what we're using, but I think we want to shift to Notion. So you'll go through a couple of those iterations basically of what are different tools that you need for yourself and for your business. So then things don't have to be done just by a human. Next big step was we went ahead and wrote down what our systems were. So that's the next step for you. So what that means is as we were starting to know what our delivery was, we had the marketing and sales funnel, we had all of the delivery part as well, is we started breaking down basically what were the different step-by-step things that needed to happen to be able to get to a certain point. Now the last video that I did last week basically is all about this, of how to build your systems and breaking down basically, okay, now we've got a client. What did we do to get that client? So what was the marketing funnel? And now what do we do after they said yes? So what's the onboarding process? What's the hiring process for the assistant? What's the onboarding for the assistant and the client? What does that look like for today? So we broke down essentially what we were already doing, so then we would know how to build from that. So documenting basically could be just you recording a video on how you do certain tasks and outcomes in the business, or it could be just actually just writing it all down, kind of like creating your own recipe book. Next, and this is the part where I kind of did struggle a lot, was starting hiring your team. And it was mostly because I wasn't intentional with it. Like I was getting people inside of 2XU, promoting them, but I wasn't really clear on what that looked like. So this is one of the mistakes that I did make, was not being intentional about hiring my team. And I now have this amazing team inside of 2XU, but I did start with kind of struggling and stumbling through that. So when it comes to start to hiring a team, just be intentional about it. So if you hire for like a managerial role, basically, so at 2XU, when we reached like 7 to 10 EAs, I knew I had to hire a manager for them, so I didn't have to be the one always managing those people plus our admin team. So I didn't have to manage the EAs plus the management team, so I knew I needed someone to help me manage the EAs, so then starting to hire for those. So it was very much same way level of thinking. It's like I thought of it just like go blocks of like one to the other, of like, okay, now I've built this, what's the next thing that I can build on top of that? So be intentional of learning management skills for yourself, because that's the biggest thing that will help your team grow and actually be sustainable, and not just be, oh, I have 10 members here, but the next month I only have 6. So try to make sure that as much as possible to learn management styles, management books, leadership books as well, so you can actually have your team for the long run. Next is get better at selling. Basically what it is. Basically what I'm going through at the moment as well is I'm always trying to get better and better at selling my business, about talking about my business. So then of course I can get other people in, plus the better and better that I talk about my business, the more other people can refer people into 2XU. We have a whole referral system. So it makes it easy for us to not have to run ads, not have to stress about our marketing, because we know things are just coming in and flowing, because I get better and better at explaining what 2XU does, as well as being able to have other people or train other people to be able to sell 2XU. So right now I am slowly training someone how to do the sales side of 2XU, so it doesn't have to be me. But I love doing it. I love learning. Right now I'm reading this book, The Greatest Salesman in the World. I'm just picking it up from my desk. What the point of it is that if you learn how to really sell your business well, marketing is going to be a little bit easier as well, because how you sell it, you can tell it to marketing and they can do that same way, that same process for you and with you. And of course, the last step, and one that I'm also still going through, is growing yourself. Now, as a business owner, one of the biggest gifts of being an entrepreneur is that you will learn a lot of lessons. You will learn a lot of things about yourself, about life, how to do certain things, how to find certain things, and a lot of it will be coming from you getting to know yourself and getting better and better about who you want to be and being just that person as well. Again, this is still something that I still struggle with, something I overthink, something I will forever and ever probably keep learning until like I'm 80 or until I'm dust. Is I'm always going to be working on how to get myself better and better and growing myself constantly. Even though I'm only 4'11", I'm still probably going to keep growing myself. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there and comment below. Do you have any questions on how to start your own business? I would love to answer them. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Sunday and Thursday on how to work from home and how to have a business from home, which you guys can check out those two playlists right here and the latest video right here. I hope you guys have an amazing day. Remember that small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!